Hands up if you saw this one coming. Liverpool 0, Nottingham Forest 3. Shaka, Hislop, I do not see either of your arms raised in the air. What have we just witnessed?
I have no idea how to start to explain that. And to be honest, to your opening question, if you'd asked me to put my hand up, if I thought Liverpool were going to cruise this 2 hours ago, when I was telling you that still saw Chelsea the fourth best team in the league, that
Hmm.
Liverpool were third, I'd put my arm up. Now, 2 hours later, I'm hoping I can speak to the editors and somehow we just erase the entire World Wide Web at this point. Um, Listen,
Unbelievable.
I don't know how to start to explain that. At Anfield, where Liverpool dominated possession, as you'd expect, I'm still trying to think of Matt Sells
Using a
making
save to
big
make.
saves. There
Yeah.
was there was this one effort by Somerslide deflected in the first half when it was still 0-0 that had everybody with their hearts in their mouths type of thing. Well, certainly everybody from Nottingham Forest. But other than that, um, Liverpool had possession, created opportunities, which Nottingham Forest just defended wonderfully well. Um, and then take not just take all 3 points, win 3-0.
Yeah.
Win 3-0 at Anfield. You could see teams coming in there and hanging on, and the goalkeeper standing on his head, and the woodwork being rattled, and somehow you score one from a set piece, and you get out to Anfield as quickly as you possibly
Yep.
can before the footballing gods change their minds. This was not one of those. This was just Nottingham Forest defending wonderfully well, albeit, as I
Hmm.
said, but 3-0. And uh, credit to Sean Dyche and Nottingham Forest because this was as good a performance from a team of the standing. I'm not talking about the current standings in the Premier League table, but just in terms of football hierarchies, of the standing of a Nottingham Forest going into Anfield and putting together and walking away from with a convincing win.
They were outstanding. They really were. We'll get to them shortly because obviously I know they've won 3-0 and they deserve all the headlines, but Liverpool's the story here.
Mm.
What's happened? What's happened to Salah? Why is Isak not integrating well? Why are they what they are now when they were what they were then?
Well, it's hard to explain what's happened to Mo Salah, and maybe it's just a number of new signings, and all of a sudden he's not able just to kind of find his same rhythm. There's no more Trent Alexander-Arnold just behind him, and that's with the greatest respect to Szoboszlai, who in so many ways continues to be Liverpool's best player. Um, it's difficult. It's difficult. I did not see this coming from Mo Salah. I didn't see this coming from Liverpool. I didn't see this coming from Alexander Isak, another big names that you just called. He had an opportunity, top of the box. I think this was in to start the second half. I think it was to start the second half where a ball comes across at him on the volley, 12, maybe 15 yards out, and he completely whiffs. Now, this is Alexander Isak, who was burying those quite literally with his eyes closed, either foot for Newcastle United. Now, all of a sudden, he's not even making contact with the ball. And the longer this goes on, the more concerning it becomes because um, Hugo Ekitike started the season so wonderfully well for Liverpool. Now Alexander Isak is the preferred option, or certainly Slot is trying to figure out how to get him better integrated. He's not producing the performances. Ekitike is playing in a different system from the start of the season. He's kind of in and out himself, and so he, in effect, didn't see much of him during the course of his involvement today. Um, but then you can probably say that for everybody in red today. And that's the really big concern for me here.
What I can't get my head around, And you and I and on FC spoke about how good Liverpool's transfer window had been,
Yeah.
how to replace Trent Alexander-Arnold, Jeremy Frimpong, loves to get forward, will be great in the Premier League. Florian Wirtz was brilliant in the Bundesliga. What a signing that is. And if they can get Alexander Isak, oh my goodness, that would be one of the best transfer windows of any English team in some time. Why haven't any of them integrated?
I don't know. I listen, and I guess the cheap, easy excuse is it's a big transition coming from the Bundesliga to the Premier League. Alexander Isak didn't have much of a preseason. No, I'm just kind of ruling out the honest slot excuses that we've heard at different times during the course of the season. And while I'm ruling them out, I'll say admittedly, I don't necessarily believe any of them. Florian Wirtz is described by none other than Jurgen Klopp as a generational talent. You see nothing of it. And while it may take time to settle in, granted, we are now, what, 12 games into the season, 13 games into whatever it is, and we have seen absolutely nothing from Florian Wirtz. While, yes, it may take, you may need a good preseason under your belt to really get going. Alexander Isak knows this league. We've seen that over the last, what, 3 seasons. Okay, he didn't have a preseason, but surely at this point now, end of November, any number of international windows where, are, okay, he's away with Sweden, but still, at this point, preseason or not, you should be up to speed. You really should be up to speed. And he has been anything but. So other than the kind of usual, I'm not going to say usual, anything other than the excuses we've heard from Honest Lot so far, which again I don't think hold water. I, I'm I'm not sure how you explain. There's a cliche in this game that good players figure it out, and by all accounts, well, certainly Florian Wirtz is a generational talent. If what we've seen from Alexander Isak and the Newcastle shirt, they are both very, very good players. But
Yeah.
somehow neither of them can figure it out.
It's baffling. And you're right, we're heading towards the end of November. This isn't September. It's fine, we've
Nope.
only been here a few weeks. We're nearly in December now, and whether it's injury or whatever, they haven't settled. I just wonder, with all the signings that they made, how different would Liverpool's season have been? Bearing in mind they won their first 5 and they've only won one of the
Mhm.
next 7. If they'd been able to sign Mark Gahey, would he have made that big a difference?
Would they have scored more goals? Is to your point?
Would they have
Um,
conceded as many?
well, I mean, you could say no, but when you concede 6 goals in 2 games, if you'd conceded 4, you could say, "Oh yeah, look, we've conceded less, but you still lost 2 games,
Still lost, yeah.
2-0 or whatever."
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm hypothesizing at this point.
Yeah.
Um, so uh, right now the issue is how punchless Liverpool look in the attacking third, in and around the opponent's box. And again, I say that giving full credit, certainly today, for
Yeah, of
Nottingham
course. And
Forest
we'll
and
have,
and
yeah,
and
we'll, yeah.
and their defensive performance. But they have looked absolutely punchless up front. Would Gahey have changed that? That's
Not
a
up
big
front, he wouldn't.
ask, and I get it. Listen, a lot of times when you're conceding goals, it becomes very difficult to score them up the other end because everybody starts dropping deeper and there's a lack of confidence. But Liverpool have dominated possession. Liverpool have created opportunities. They've gotten into the opposition's box, but it's just that final ball, that last shot, whatever it is just letting them down. I don't think another defender, a better defender, changes what you're seeing in their attacking third.
And just looking at 86 goals they scored last season on their way to winning the title. They've got 18 this season. And I was just playing devil's advocate with Mark Gahey. We're speaking about the players that they've signed, and maybe
Yeah.
that might have been one that they thought, well, that could take us over the edge as far as the profit and sustainability is concerned, or whatever. They decided to wait it out and maybe try and get them at a later date. It's just alarming how good they were last season and how dominant they were last season. And they are a shadow of
hmm
themselves now. And I don't know if it's one thing or if it's a culmination of various things that's happened, but they've got a good run of fixtures coming up. But you looked at that and you thought, Forest at home, that's a great way to start a good run of fixtures. And look what it's done. And now they've got Champions League in midweek coming up. Their form's been dreadful. PSV at home, if you're the Dutch side, you're thinking happy days. Whereas last year, you're like, oh no, Liverpool at Anfield. Is the fear factor gone this season?
Absolutely it is. Absolutely it is. If you're PSV and you come into Anfield in midweek, you only have to look at this Nottingham Forest performance. And again, you know that, listen, we have to keep things tight at the back. We have to be defensively solid. Liverpool will give you chances, a lot of them. And we have to take those chances. And as the game goes on, it'll become more frustrating. The crowd will start to turn a little bit. You can go to Anfield and win. I'm not sure, as I say, league tables aside, I'm not sure when a team of the historic standing of a Nottingham Forest, or to your point, a PSV, could actually look forward to going to Anfield and truly believe, you know what, there's something there for us. We can walk away from 3 points here quite easily. I've been on those buses driving into Anfield, and your bigger concern is, man, I hope we don't get embarrassed. No, I think we could take something out of this.
And there's a few places you would have gone like that, but now it's funny how things change. Time for some Nottingham Forest love. Time for some Sean Dyche love. Prior to going to Anfield last season, there were 49-year-old Nottingham Forest fans that had never seen their team win at Anfield. They weren't alive the last time their team had won at Anfield. Not only did they win there last year with Callum Hudson-Odoi, but now they've won back-to-back years, having not won for 50. Is there one thing that they did that got them the 3 points, or is it a culmination of things?
Well, obviously a combination of things. I'll keep going back to, I think Nottingham Forest just defended so wonderfully well on the day, and I'll highlight Murillo here, who I've found is such an incredible defender, such an emotional leader for Nottingham Forest, and has been for so long. I know he got his goal today, and that's a bonus when you're talking about a centre back. But the way he defends, the way he puts everything on the line, how emotionally charged he seems to be for every single game, and how people are able to feed off of that. I think he is an incredible, incredible asset to Nottingham Forest, and without him, we can talk about any number of players, but without Murillo, I'm not sure. I'm not sure where they are. Sean Dyche has come in, got them reorganized, got them back to playing how I felt they were like this time last season. Have an identity. They know what they're doing. They do the basics well, and then they take their opportunities when they come. Now, whether that got towards the end and they're falling off from the top, kind of got Nuno Espirito Santo the sack or not. I've said my piece on that. I'm not going to go back to that. Postecoglou came in and tried to change things, but that's not who the players were. That's not the identity that they were able to play behind. Sean Dyche just came in, got them organized, as we know Sean Dyche always does, as these players have shown they can do and respond to. And now they're back to looking like the team that we saw for large spells last season, certainly the early spell of last season. Credit to them for that.
It's the sixth time that Liverpool have fallen behind in the Premier League this season. They've lost all of those games. So getting the first goal against Liverpool this season in the Premier League is key. Looking at Forest's next games, they've got Malmo at home in Europe. Then it's Brighton, Wolves, Everton. I mean, there's some decent fixtures for them going forward. You don't want to get ahead of yourself, but good teams don't become bad teams overnight. And whatever you think of Nuno's dismissal, it was very early. Ange didn't work. They seem to have a safe pair of hands again, doing just what they're good at doing.
Yeah. I being organized, being solid, not giving up too many easy chances, not making mistakes, and just leaving it all out in the park. for 90 minutes or 95 or 90, whatever it is it goes to. Never switching off. Let everything anybody gets against you be earned.
Mhm.
And I think that's a good formula, certainly for Nottingham Forest success. As they say, they've got a good spread of games to go now. They'll be looking forward to that. This is a confidence booster like no other. But at the same time, you can celebrate it for a couple of days. You
Yeah.
know, these kinds of results matter only if you're able to build on them. Forest, Sydney, I think will enjoy this, but know that they have to get back down to work in a couple of days' time. Know that they have to be their old, hard to beat selves.
The opening goal. Give me a goalkeeper's perspective on this. Murillo's finished well, but there's a player standing in front of Alisson. Now, I'm assuming here, because it wasn't really clarified in our commentary, that that player was offside. If that player was onside, it doesn't matter. But that player was, if he was in an offside position, and you as a goalkeeper, you're never going to get that. However, you can
Well,
understand why Alisson was protesting.
don't say you're never going to get that because
Well, that's
Donnarumma got that. Donnarumma got that a
right.
couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, a
Um,
goalkeeper can say that. How do you
which
know it wasn't going to get there?
which I disagreed with. Again,
Doesn't
I
matter.
thought
You'll never find out.
Donnarumma played it well and putting his arm up and
Yeah.
making a claim and it was given for some reason, which I admittedly didn't agree with. Today, Alisson tried to do the same thing, but again, the goal stood. No, Liverpool fans, I guess, will say, "Well, look what happened. How come Donnarumma's was, that was offside?" As we were discussing earlier, you know, um, two wrongs don't make a right here.
Mhm.
Um, I, I agree with the referee's decision. And again, to your point, maybe it was shown elsewhere, but from what we saw, it was never shown that the player was, I can't remember who it was offside or not. It looked offside to me, but all the same, I when the shot was hit by Murillo, I thought Alisson had a clear view of it. Maybe as it goes by the player, he loses sight and that affects him. But I, from where I sit, I think the goal is right to stand.
Now, 2 or 3 minutes later, this was interesting because I think it's one of two things here. And Igor Jesus is guilty of handball, according to the
Hmm.
referee, and the goal is chalked off. For me, when you look at VAR, there isn't a conclusive piece of evidence that tells you it did or it didn't. So I think this is one of these. If the goal's given on the field, I don't see how you disallow it. But
Mm,
with the goal being disallowed, and the key thing is when the referee's whistle blows, because if the referee's whistle blows before the ball goes in the back of the net, it's never going to be a goal.
right.
However, the whistle doesn't go until the ball hits the back of the net. The referee says handball. So is it one of these, if it's not given on the field, it ends up a goal because you can't categorically prove it was a handball? And if it
I
is given on the field, then it has to stand like that?
I don't know. I thought the ball hit Jesus' arm. I
Where?
thought it hit his
Where on
arm.
the arm did you think it hit? Because it looked like it was kind of
High up on
high
it
up.
was kind of high up. It kind of come off the chest and into
That
the
grey
arm.
area.
And yes, and now this is one of those things which we saw in the earlier game as well. Um, Ball accidentally hit a defender's arm. I think it was Cucurella in the Chelsea game, and play goes on. This one, the rule is pretty direct.
Yeah.
Even the even an accidental handball, as long as it touches
Any,
the
yeah,
arm, if it's
yeah,
the goal scorer, is disallowed. I
correct.
from I looked at it and I thought, yeah, I felt confident enough to say that it hit his arm. So again, I had no issue. Well, no, I had no issue. So I thought the goal rightly disallowed.
I don't know what was said at half time in either changing room, but second guess Liverpool's like, come on, we're only a goal down. Let's get in
Right?
a quick start to this game. Let's get back into this game, and blink of an eye, 2-0 down.
If I remember correctly, Liverpool had a chance near the end of the first half, and I'm thinking,
Mm-hmm.
wow, how that would have changed team
Yeah.
talks, you know. But you go into the dressing room and you're like, listen, we're 1-0 down at home. We're Liverpool. This is Anfield, and you do all that
Yeah.
riling the mob
Do what you
up
have to. Mhm.
to go up for the second half, and that's what, and you concede what 60 seconds in. I thought that was just as awful a goal to concede as you could hope, um, and it spoke to I guess, the disorganization within Liverpool's defense. Long ball forward, all of a sudden, you've got a winger one-on-one with the wing back. Ball gets pulled back. Nobody's tracking anybody through the middle of the box, 12 yards out, and you're two down. I mean, excuse me. It's hard to, again, for all our confusion and lack of ability to explain Salah and Wirtz and Isaac, that's just as hard and equally as difficult to accept.
Third goal, Morgan Gibbs-White. Now, if you put a list of top 5 or top 10 Premier League players that always deliver, whatever they deliver, but they're very rarely spoken about, the kind of unsung hero, he's in that conversation, isn't he?
Absolutely is. Absolutely is. What a football player Morgan Gibbs-White is. And I, again, to your point, I don't want to say underappreciated, because I think when you see Forrest play, when you understand the role he plays within this team, you understand how good a footballer he is. But when we start talking about incredible talents within the Premier League, those conversations are normally center around players from any one of maybe 4 clubs. Morgan Gibbs-White very rarely in there, but he just does so much both sides of the ball. Wonderful, wonderful talent.
18 points. Liverpool are on 6 wins, 6 defeats. They're on 18 along with Spurs, who've got a game in hand. Villa, who've got a game in hand. Man United, who've got a game in hand. They're only 2 points above Brentford, who missed a late penalty to get a point at Brighton. At which stage, and given that you'd said that it was Liverpool and Man City that were competing for second.
Yeah, no, they've deleted that. They've deleted
in that earlier
the
clip that's since been deleted.
They've deleted, redacted. They've deleted the entire internet.
Yeah, redacted the black thing through it. What are Liverpool now? Are they? They're the defending champions, but what are they in this season?
So here's the thing, and we were talking about this in a slightly different context with Chelsea. How big a 3 points that was. Never mind the performance, but you get 3 points. You're second. Everybody now about to play. Whether you finish the day, whether you finish the weekend there, it's huge. Psychologically, it is huge. Now, if Liverpool won today, for all our criticisms, Liverpool are in the top 4 on 21 points. And again, I know that there are a bunch of teams to play. Well, Sydney City play again today. There are more games to come over the weekend, and maybe that changes by Monday night, Tuesday morning. But psychologically, you can say, despite all our issues, despite everything that everybody has to say, we're in the top 4. We're a point behind, I think it would be City at the time, and we're 2 points behind Chelsea, a little bit more distance between us and Arsenal, but we're there. We've been at our worst, but we are there. Now, all of a sudden, you will finish this, not just now, you finish this weekend looking up at nearly half the table. And it's psychologically, I think, again, it shows a weakness around Liverpool that I don't know how to understand or explain. I always feel that these early games are a real test to teams psychologically, because it's a 6-pointer all of a sudden. You know, you've gone from being in the top 4 for now to all of a sudden by the end of the weekend you may be, and I can't remember how the table is laid out, you may be in the bottom half of the table. That speaks to our mental fragility about Liverpool that I don't know how to explain, primarily because I don't think I've ever seen a reigning champion, to your point, Mark, look this inept.
Worrying times at Anfield, and for Forest's perspective, some good games coming up, and that was probably 3 points that they weren't expecting. They would have liked something from the game, but they got all 3, so the only way is up for them. And from a Liverpool perspective, today, following that game, their season can kind of be summed up this way. They're 1 point behind Sunderland in the race for a Conference League spot next season. Bye for now.